So let me explain to you wemake again. Wemake is this initiative that Mark in our office is doing. It's a Wednesday meetup session with designers and technology people, where a chance for them to make their projects real. Like any ideas you have, oh, this would be good. Like this is a chance to make it happen, sort of thing. So this was a brief set kind of by myself and my manager, trying to like get some cool design on the walls. Mark already had done an initial email and had an initial logo, but we thought there's so much more that can be done. But we took the initial design as like some clues to what this is all about. Like it's paper craft, it's tea, coffee spills. It's not like perfect design and science. It's like more like backshed sort of people creating new bits and pieces. So I spoke to Mark and took some notes about what he kind of had ideas for what he wanted to do. And his idea for wemake was like, one, it's Wednesday Makers Club, and also it's like creatives meet technology, and he's really keen on like the duality of those two things. So I asked him, like, he was mentioning all these names I'd never heard of, so I wanted to find out what head he was in and like look at the brands that he thought were kind of relevant, all these like Machine Room and Hackney Makerspace and stuff like that, and saw what I thought wasn't that cool and stuff that was kind of cool and might take the interest of designers. So then I had to do some research. I looked into the wemake, like what does this really mean, and all the notes I had from Mark, and did some thinking. And in that thinking, there's some conclusions. One was that like this duality of designers and creatives, it could be something really like harmonious, like a match made in heaven, like Anton Deck or something like that, or it's like contrast, it's like Einstein, like two things coming together and making something unexpected. So in a visual sense, things that are like harmonious are like these shapes that fit in with each other, these nice colors that match with each other. But if it was like really contrast, it'd be more jarring and disruptive, and shapes that don't fit in and colors that are on the other end of the like spectrum. And then the four themes I pulled out that set the rest of the project is that wemake can be like really human. So not just the stuff that you make, it's like it's all about the people meeting each other and things like that, and working with different talents and things. It's like real. It's not just stuff you do on a computer or you work out. It's making mistakes and tangible things and materials. Is like solutions. People come with problems and they problem for something, whether it's Alzheimer's or whatever, when people come with a solution, and it's like unorthodox, like unexpected and playful. So if it was human, it could look like this, like just like hand drawn and textures, and doesn't feel like some big sciencey thing. It feels like something fun. And like in my sketchbook, I tried to show this to my manager and use like brush real inks and leave the spills and stuff like that. If it was solutions, it's more like things that happen at the end, and like in a design sense, maybe it's like things that aren't a W and an M, but make a W and an M, and then that's like kind of feels a bit more solution-like. Real, it's like all these like real textures and materials, and in my book I've stuck actual stuff on paper and things, and this gives that sense. And unorthodox is like in this Einstein unexpected world where letters are like rotated and there's gaps in between and weird layouts, and that's what I put in my book as well. Then I went about designing stuff. So I did actually start with one thing before we were like going into Illustrator and on the computer, but when I caught up with my manager, we looked at it from the beginning and thought about how this duality works, and kind of at first had some really like literal kind of obvious ones, but then started to look at these like W's and M's and shapes and stuff. And one thing that helped, I had a bit of a creative block when I was doing this sketching bit, and I went to sleep, and in the morning when I went to work, kind of started to see all these like W's and M's everywhere, like W and M, and all these lines coming together, and triangles and shadows and lights crossing over, and all these like things that could make shapes that make a W and M. And like some of them are just like staring you in your face like, whoa, shit, W and M. Then here I'm like getting into it now, like right in my little sketchbook, connecting dots, making triangles, making shapes, playing around with some like words. Then here, like when I'm looking at the shadows of the fences and stuff and making what makes a W and an M, things crossing over. Here you can see like perspective that could make a nice logo. It's just like seeing the textures that I've seen and making something that makes sense from them. And then just going like overhaul with them. Quite like this one, there's the triangles and there's a W and there's an M there. And then we decided that before, it was a Friday, and we're gonna choose 3 and then go from there. So these were the 3. This was like the first one, it was all about the triangles, like different textures for different triangles, different type of people coming together, and where they meet in the middle is the like sweet spot where we make happens. Or there's this one where it's like the make is the very factual technology part, and almost like someone's graffitied over like we, and it's very like that two contrasting things coming together, and I like how this loops together and makes like a nice like unity type thing. And then the final one was like, imagine this world of random objects, and in the middle they come together to make the we make, and the letters are just made from these shapes, and that's the one that we chose to take further and that we liked. So then I had the different plays with them. It was like crayons and paper and like felt tips, and I liked all the textures that were coming out, and like like color wise I was thinking like red and green are opposite, yellow and purple are opposite, and blue and orange are opposite, and they could come together and that makes something interesting. But in the end we decided to take some of these patterns and choose different colors and start to like treat them in posters and stuff, and play with the different shapes and make patterns and just see how far we could take it. The final logo in the end was this, with these 2 colors. We chose the 2 most vibrant colors that can be printed, and they stand out in the Sapient offices. And like this is the general logo, but you can have it in different ways, and also you can pull it apart and still have the sort of playful shapes that we looked at earlier. And then these are the final logos, the final posters that we've made so far. And the We Make meetings are going really well, everyone's having fun, and I need to put some more stuff in here. And thank you.